Not everyone who hates you will ever admit it. In fact, the most dangerous ones never raise their voice. They clap softly. They smile politely. They sit close enough to hear your dreams, just so they can secretly hope they never happen. Hate doesn't always look like anger. Sometimes it looks like friendship. Sometimes it looks like family. Sometimes it looks like someone who says, "I'm proud of you," but can't meet your eyes when you're winning. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people don't want to accept. The people who hate you the most are rarely strangers. They're the ones who watched you grow, the ones who know your weaknesses, the ones who remember who you used to be and resent who you're becoming. And that's why their hate is quiet. They won't insult you directly. They'll question you. They won't attack your success. They'll downplay it. They won't stop you openly. They'll slow you down with doubt, guilt, and subtle disrespect. Because open hate is easy to spot, but hidden resentment is strategic. It waits for the right moment. It shows up when you're vulnerable. It disguises itself as advice, concern, humor, or just being real. And if you've ever walked away from someone feeling smaller, heavier, or confused, if you've ever wondered why your confidence drops around certain people, this is why. This isn't about paranoia. This is about patterns, because people who hate you may lie with their words, but they always tell the truth with their behavior. And once you recognize what they consistently give you, you stop mistaking proximity for loyalty. You stop begging for validation. And you stop letting hidden hatred have a front row seat in your life. So listen closely, because the next 10 things aren't random. They're receipts. And once you see them, you'll never unsee them. 1. Fake support. The loudest claps come from the quietest haters. Fake support is the most socially acceptable form of hatred. It's clean, it's polite, it's deniable. This is the kind of support that shows up wearing a smile and leaves you feeling strangely alone. People who genuinely support you don't need to announce it. People who hate you need to perform it. They'll say the right words. They'll post the comment. They'll show up just long enough to be seen. But their energy never matches their language. Their applause is always delayed. Their excitement always feels rehearsed. Their encouragement always sounds like it came from obligation, not belief. Fake support doesn't want you to fail publicly, because that would make them look bad. What they want is for you to almost win, to struggle, to doubt yourself, to stay close enough that they don't feel left behind. Here's the truth most people miss. Fake supporters don't hate you. They hate what your success exposes in them. Your progress becomes a mirror, and mirrors make insecure people uncomfortable. So they'll say things like, "I knew you could do it," but never say how or why. They'll congratulate you, but immediately follow it with silence. No follow-up, no curiosity, no real interest in what it took, because real support asks questions. Fake support avoids them. Fake support is clapping while counting how far ahead you are. It's smiling while secretly measuring whether you're about to outgrow the relationship. And the most dangerous part, fake supporters often believe their own lie. They'll convince themselves they're happy for you, while subtly sabotaging you with doubt, indifference, or emotional distance. They won't push you forward. They won't open doors. They won't protect your name in rooms you're not in. They'll just stay close enough to benefit from your glow, without ever adding fuel to your fire. Real support versus fake support. Real support feels steady. Fake support feels awkward. Real support celebrates your wins without comparison. Fake support immediately measures your success against their own life. Real support wants to know your next goal. Fake support hopes this is your peak. And if you pay attention, fake support always leaks through in small ways. They forget important details about your work. They minimize how hard it was. They change the subject when others praise you. They never bring your name up unless you're present, because fake support is conditional. It only exists as long as your success doesn't threaten their identity. Example: imagine you tell someone close to you that you landed a major opportunity, something you've worked years for. They smile, they say, "Wow, that's amazing, I'm happy for you." But then they don't ask what it means for you. They don't ask how you got it. They don't check in later. They never mention it again. Days pass, weeks pass, but the moment you struggle, they suddenly reappear with advice, criticism, or real talk. That's fake support. They weren't rooting for your growth. They were waiting for balance to be restored, because your success disrupted the invisible hierarchy they had in their head. And here's the harsh part: fake support doesn't always come from enemies. It often comes from friends who liked you better when you were easier to outgrow. Fake support is dangerous because it keeps you confused. You question your instincts. You wonder if you're asking for too much. You start lowering your expectations of people instead of raising your standards. But once you recognize fake support, something shifts. You stop over-explaining. You stop seeking validation. You stop sharing your dreams with people who clap with one hand. Because real support doesn't feel like tension. It doesn't feel forced. And it never makes you feel guilty for winning. 2. Backhanded compliments. Praise that cuts deeper than insults. A backhanded compliment is what happens when someone wants to hurt you, but still needs to look like a good person while doing it. It's not open disrespect. It's socially acceptable hostility. They smile, they lower their voice. They say something that sounds kind, but lands like a bruise, because a backhanded compliment isn't about acknowledging your success. It's about reclaiming control when your progress makes them uncomfortable. You're actually really smart. I didn't expect you to pull that off. You look good. Did you lose weight? Each sentence pretends to lift you up while quietly reminding you that you were never supposed to rise this high. That's the strategy. Backhanded compliments exist to reposition you, to subtly place you back beneath them without starting a war. And the reason they're so effective is because they make you feel crazy. You're supposed to say thank you. You're supposed to smile. You're supposed to ignore the sting. But your body feels it before your mind catches up. A pause in your chest. A tight smile. A sudden need to explain yourself. That's not gratitude. That's your intuition recognizing disrespect wrapped in silk. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Backhanded compliments come from people who are threatened but too insecure to admit it. Your growth disrupts the role they assigned you. Maybe you were the quiet one, the average one, the supporting character, and now you're breaking the script. So they try to rewrite the moment by anchoring your win to an old version of you. You've come a long way. Translation: you used to be beneath me. It's impressive for someone without connections. Translation: you weren't supposed to have access. You're doing well lately. Translation: this feels temporary. Backhanded compliments aren't accidental. They're calculated emotional corrections. They're designed to keep you humble in the wrong way, reassert superiority without confrontation, plant doubt while appearing supportive, test how much disrespect you'll tolerate. And here's the most revealing part. People who truly respect you don't need to remind you of who you used to be. They meet you where you are. Backhanded compliments only look backward because they're afraid of where you're going. Why they hurt more than insults. An insult tells you where you stand. A backhanded compliment blurs reality. It forces you to question your reaction. Am I overreacting? Maybe they meant well. Should I just take it as praise? And in that confusion, they win. Because while you're busy doubting yourself, they've already released the poison and walked away clean. This is why people who constantly use backhanded compliments thrive in social spaces. They get to harm without consequences, to dominate without confrontation, to stay likable while eroding your confidence, one sentence at a time. Example: imagine you finally reach a goal you've been open about struggling toward. You share the news with someone close to you. They smile and say, "Wow, I honestly didn't think you'd be able to do that." Everyone else hears encouragement. You hear the truth. The conversation moves on. You're expected to celebrate. But later, you replay the moment in your head. Why did it feel off? Why did it feel like you were being pulled backward instead of pushed forward? Because what they really said was, "I had already decided who you were," and this threatens that belief. Another example: you walk into a room confident, dressed well, comfortable in your skin. Someone says, "You look good today. What changed?" It's framed as curiosity. It lands as a reminder, "You didn't always look like this." That's a backhanded compliment. It's praise that requires you to accept an insult as the entry fee. The pattern to watch backhanded compliments usually show up when you're improving faster than expected. You're gaining recognition. They wanted you no longer depend on their approval. You're becoming less controllable. And once you see the pattern, you can't unsee it. You realize it was never about honesty. It was about maintaining hierarchy. Backhanded compliments are a test. They're checking if you'll laugh it off, shrink yourself, over-explain, or silently accept the disrespect. But the moment you stop internalizing them, the moment you stop needing validation from people who resent your growth, their power disappears, because praise that wounds was never meant to honor you in the first place. 3. Minimal effort. When someone gives you just enough to say they tried, minimal effort is the laziest form of hate. It doesn't yell. It doesn't insult. It doesn't openly refuse. It just doesn't show up. People who hate you but still want access to you won't disappear completely. They'll stay close, but never close enough to truly contribute. They give you just enough energy to avoid confrontation, just enough attention to keep the connection alive, and just enough involvement to say, "Well, I was there." Minimal effort is intentional neglect, disguised as busyness. They'll tell you they're swamped, going through a lot, or meaning to get around to it. Yet somehow, they always have time for things and people that matter to them. And that's the part most people struggle to accept. Minimal effort isn't about lack of capacity. It's about lack of priority. Because effort is a decision. Someone who truly respects you will find ways. Someone who resents you will find excuses. Minimal effort is how people stay in your life without investing in your growth. They don't want to help you rise. They want to watch how high you go without them. Why? Because if you succeed without their input, they can later say they were never involved. And if you fail, they can say they tried. It's the perfect emotional alibi. Minimal effort allows them to avoid responsibility, avoid commitment, avoid celebrating you too loudly, avoid being seen as unsupportive, all while quietly benefiting from your presence, your loyalty, and your access. This is what makes minimal effort so dangerous. It trains you to accept scraps. You start lowering your expectations. You stop asking for help. You overcompensate by doing more. And slowly, the relationship becomes one-sided, with you carrying the weight and them carrying the credit. Minimal effort isn't neutral. It's a form of control, because when someone consistently underdelivers, they force you to choose between confrontation and self-betrayal. And many people choose silence because calling out minimal effort makes you look demanding, ungrateful, or too much. That's the trap. Minimal effort thrives on social politeness, on your fear of being labeled difficult, on your hope that things will improve if you just wait. But they won't, because minimal effort is not temporary behavior. It's a long-term strategy. It keeps you guessing. It keeps you emotionally invested. It keeps them safe from accountability. How minimal effort reveals hidden resentment. People who respect you show up consistently. People who resent you show up selectively. They'll help when it's visible. They'll disappear when it's inconvenient. They'll promise more than they deliver, because promises cost nothing. They won't follow through without reminders. Match your energy. Take initiative. Show up early or stay late. Offer help unless asked repeatedly. And if you bring it up, they'll say, "I didn't think it was that serious," or "You know I'm not good with that stuff." What they really mean is, "I didn't think you were worth the extra effort." Example: imagine you're working on something important, a project, an event, a business idea, and someone close to you offers to help. They say all the right things. "Let me know what you need. I've got you. I'll handle that part." But when the moment comes, they reply late. They forget deadlines. They give half-finished work. They need constant reminders. You end up doing everything yourself. Later, when it succeeds, they say, "Yeah, we really pulled that off." But when it struggles, they say, "I tried, but you know how busy I am." That's minimal effort. They wanted proximity to your success, without responsibility for the work. The truth most people avoid minimal effort is a boundary disguised as kindness. It's someone telling you, without words, "I don't want to invest in you, but I don't want to lose access to you either." And once you recognize it, you stop negotiating with neglect. You stop chasing clarity. You stop over-explaining. You stop pouring into people who keep handing you empty cups. Because effort doesn't need reminders. Respect doesn't need pressure. And support doesn't come in half measures. 4. Unnecessary criticism. When correction becomes a weapon. Unnecessary criticism is what happens when someone doesn't want to stop you. They just want to slow you down. It's not feedback. It's not guidance. It's control disguised as concern. People who genuinely want you to improve criticize with purpose. People who resent you criticize with frequency. They don't wait for the right moment. They don't ask if you want input. They don't consider timing, tone, or context. They just point and poke and prod. Because unnecessary criticism isn't about making you better. It's about making you self-conscious. Every win comes with a but. Every success has a flaw highlighted. Every confident step is met with a raised eyebrow. You did great, but you could have handled it better. That was impressive, but I wouldn't have done it that way. I mean, it's good, but you still have a lot to learn. Notice the pattern. They never let you fully arrive. Unnecessary criticism exists to keep you emotionally unfinished, always reaching, never satisfied. And here's the uncomfortable truth. People who constantly criticize you don't believe they can outgrow you, so they try to outcorrect you. They can't stand the idea of you standing tall without their approval, so they position themselves as the evaluator, the judge, the expert, even when they have no authority, even when no one asked, even when the moment calls for celebration, not correction. That's what makes it unnecessary. Real feedback comes with care. Unnecessary criticism comes with ego. Why it hits harder than open hate is obvious. Unnecessary criticism is confusing. You're told it's for your own good. You're told to be grateful. You're told to not be so sensitive. So you start doubting your reactions. Am I defensive? Am I unteachable? Am I just not good enough yet? And slowly their voice replaces your own. You start editing yourself before you speak, second-guessing before you act, bracing for correction even when you're doing well. That's not growth. That's conditioning. Unnecessary criticism trains you to associate success with discomfort. And that's the goal, because a confident person is hard to control. A self-doubting person is easy to manage. How unnecessary criticism reveals hidden resentment. People who respect you criticize privately and sparingly. People who resent you criticize publicly and often. They'll correct you in front of others, focus on tiny flaws instead of big wins. Repeat the same criticism even after you've improved. Offer criticism without solutions. Criticize areas they themselves struggle in. And if you confront them, they'll say, "I'm just being honest. I'm just trying to help." Someone has to tell you the truth. But honesty without compassion is not truth. It's hostility with permission. Example: imagine you accomplish something meaningful, a presentation, a project, a performance. Others congratulate you. Then they step in. "Well, you did okay, but you talked too fast. You should have structured it differently. I noticed you hesitated a bit at the start." They say it casually, maybe even smiling, but the timing tells the truth. There was no request for feedback, no private conversation, no acknowledgement of the win, just an immediate need to shrink the moment. You leave not feeling proud, but focused on everything that went wrong. That's unnecessary criticism. They didn't want to help you improve. They wanted to reclaim emotional balance after watching you succeed. The hidden cost: unnecessary criticism doesn't break you overnight. It erodes you slowly. It teaches you to downplay your achievements. Avoid sharing wins. Seek approval before acting. Stay within acceptable limits. And the more you grow, the harsher it becomes, because your success threatens the role they assigned themselves in your life. Unnecessary criticism is a test. They're watching to see if you'll accept it. Quietly, explain yourself, defend your choices, or shrink to keep the peace. But the moment you stop internalizing it, the moment you stop mistaking constant correction for care, you take your power back. Because real support doesn't ruin your victories, and real growth doesn't require constant permission. 5. Competition you never signed up for, when your existence feels like a threat. Some people don't hate you because of what you did. They hate you because of what you represent. And instead of admitting that, they turn your life into a contest you never agreed to play. You're not racing, you're not comparing, you're not measuring, but they are. Everything you do becomes a scoreboard. Your wins become their losses. Your growth becomes their pressure. This is the kind of competition that never announces itself. It just quietly rearranges the relationship. Suddenly, conversations aren't conversations anymore. They're updates, information gathering, subtle status checks. How's work going? Are you still doing that thing? Did you ever finish that project? They're not curious. They're keeping count. Because competition you never signed up for isn't about improvement. It's about ranking. And ranking is rooted in insecurity. They don't want to beat you openly. They want to stay ahead of you quietly. That's why they react strangely to your success. Not angry, not hostile, just off. Their smile doesn't reach their eyes. Their congratulations come late. Their tone shifts. Because every time you move forward, it disrupts the hierarchy they had in their head. And here's the uncomfortable truth. People who see you as competition never saw you as an equal. They saw you as a reference point, someone they felt comfortable standing above, someone whose progress they could predict, someone whose limits made them feel safe. So when you break those limits, they don't celebrate, they recalibrate. They start matching you, copying you, one-upping you, not to grow, but to reassert position. That's why the competition feels forced, awkward, unnecessary, because it is. Healthy competition invites mutual growth. Unhealthy competition demands dominance. And this kind always shows itself in patterns. They rush to share their own achievements after you share yours. They downplay your wins while exaggerating theirs. They suddenly pursue what you pursue. They compare timelines, income, attention, or recognition. They can't let you have a moment without redirecting it. And if you don't engage, they escalate. They become louder, more performative, more desperate for validation, because competition needs an audience. Why this kind of rivalry is so toxic. Competition you never signed up for puts you in a lose-lose situation. If you respond, you look arrogant or aggressive. If you ignore it, they feel dismissed and double down. And all the while, you're being dragged into a psychological game you never consented to. You start censoring yourself, minimizing your wins, avoiding topics that trigger comparison. Not because you're insecure, but because you're tired. Tired of being measured. Tired of being mirrored, tired of being turned into a benchmark instead of a person. And the deeper truth, people who compete with you secretly admire you, but admiration mixed with insecurity turns into resentment. They don't want to be you, they want to be above you. Example, imagine you share a personal milestone. Nothing flashy, just something meaningful to you. They respond with, "Oh yeah, that's cool. I actually just did something similar." Then they talk longer, with more detail, with more emphasis. The room shifts. Your moment becomes a warm-up act. Or imagine this, every time you improve, physically, financially, creatively, they suddenly do too. Not inspired, not curious, urgent. They start mentioning their progress unprompted, posting more, talking louder. Not because they love the journey, but because they refuse to fall behind. That's competition you never signed up for. You didn't challenge them. Your growth did. The hidden motive. This kind of competition isn't about winning, it's about self-preservation. Your progress threatens the story they tell themselves about who they are. So instead of rewriting their story, they try to outpace yours. But here's the reality they don't want to face. You can't outrun someone who isn't racing you. The moment you stop engaging, stop explaining, comparing, or downplaying, the competition collapses, because it was never mutual. It was internal. And once you see that, you stop shrinking to keep others comfortable. You stop apologizing for growth. You stop carrying other people's insecurity. Because your life is not a contest, and anyone who turns it into one was never rooting for you to win. 6. Fake concern, when worry is just disguised control. Fake concern sounds gentle. It uses soft voices, lowered tones, and carefully chosen words. "I'm just worried about you. I don't want to see you get hurt. I'm saying this because I care." But fake concern isn't about your safety. It's about limiting your movement. Real concern empowers, Fake concern restricts. People who truly care ask questions to understand. People who fake concern ask questions to redirect. They don't tell you what you can do. They focus obsessively on what might go wrong. And here's the part most people miss. Fake concern almost always appears right before you level up, before you take a risk, before you leave something familiar, before you step into independence. Because your growth makes them nervous. Not for you, but for themselves. Fake concern is fear wearing empathy's face. They'll frame your ambition as recklessness, your confidence as naivety, your courage as irresponsibility, and they'll do it calmly, lovingly, convincingly. That's what makes it effective. You sure that's a good idea? I just don't want you getting your hopes up. Have you really thought this through? On the surface it sounds reasonable. Underneath it's a message. Stay where I'm comfortable with you. Fake concern doesn't want you to fail loudly. It wants you to never fully try. Because if you never try, they never have to confront the possibility that you might succeed without them. How fake concern actually works. Fake concern operates through what-if paralysis. What if you waste your time? What if it doesn't work out? What if you embarrass yourself? What if you regret it? Notice what's missing. What if you succeed? What if you grow? What if this changes your life? Fake concern never explores upside, because the upside threatens the relationship's power balance. So instead of discouraging you directly, they overwhelm you with hypothetical risks, not to protect you, but to slow you down. And when you hesitate, they feel justified. See, I was just trying to help. But help that makes you smaller isn't help, it's containment. Why fake concern feels so confusing. Fake concern messes with your intuition. You feel resistance, but you're told it's love. You feel discouraged, but you're told it's realism. You feel doubt growing, but you're told it's maturity. So you question yourself. Am I being reckless? Am I ungrateful? Am I ignoring good advice? And in that confusion, they gain influence. Because fake concern positions them as the reasonable one, and you as the emotional, impulsive, unrealistic one. That's not care. That's subtle authority. Example: imagine you tell someone close to you that you're about to take a bold step, starting something new, leaving a safe path, choosing growth over comfort. They pause, they sigh, they say, I just worry about you. Then come the questions. What if it doesn't work? Do you have a backup plan? Don't you think this is a bit risky for someone like you? They don't ask what excites you. They don't ask what you've learned. They don't ask how prepared you are. They focus on danger. Later, when you hesitate, they say, I just didn't want you to get hurt. But what they really wanted was for you to stay predictable, because predictable people don't outgrow relationships. The pattern to watch. Fake concern usually comes from people who benefit from you staying. Dependent feel threatened by your independence, are uncomfortable with uncertainty, fear being left behind, tie their identity to being wiser than you. They don't trust your judgment, because trusting it would mean accepting that you no longer need theirs. The cost of believing fake concern. If you listen to fake concern long enough, you stop trusting yourself. You start outsourcing decisions, second-guessing instincts, waiting for permission, and slowly your life becomes smaller. Not because you lacked potential, but because you accepted fear disguised as love. Real concern says, I trust you to figure it out. Fake concern says, I need you to stay where I can predict you. Once you recognize the difference, you stop defending your choices. You stop over-explaining your dreams. You stop shrinking your vision to fit someone else's comfort. Because people who truly care don't cage your future. 7. Energy drain. When someone leaves you tired for no clear reason. Energy drain is one of the most honest signals of hidden hostility, because people can fake words, but they can't fake energy exchange. If you consistently feel exhausted, heavy, irritated, or strangely smaller after interacting with someone, that's not coincidence. That's information. Energy drain doesn't come from long conversations or difficult topics. It comes from emotional friction, the effort of being around someone who quietly resents you. You walk in neutral. You walk out depleted, and you can't explain why. Nothing dramatic happened. No argument, no obvious disrespect, just a subtle feeling that something was off. That's because energy drain isn't about what they say. It's about what they withhold. People who secretly dislike you often force you to carry the emotional weight of the interaction. You do the listening. You do the adjusting. You do the explaining. You do the emotional labor. They give you tension in return. They don't celebrate easily. They don't respond warmly. They don't meet your openness with openness. So your nervous system stays alert, trying to read signals, avoid missteps, manage mood. That constant self-monitoring is exhausting. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Energy drain is what happens when you're around someone who is competing with you internally. They're measuring, comparing, suppressing reactions, and suppressed emotion leaks. It leaks as coldness, as micro-judgments, as awkward pauses, as passive resistance. Your body feels it before your brain can rationalize it. Why energy drain is a red flag, not a personality quirk. People often excuse energy drain by saying, they're just introverted. They're going through a lot. They're just not expressive. But notice the pattern. They're drained only around certain people, only in certain conversations, only when you're being fully yourself. With others, you feel fine, energized, grounded. That difference matters. Energy drain happens when someone's presence requires you to shrink, filter, or perform. You stop speaking freely. You soften your excitement. You censor your wins. You prepare for subtle resistance. That's not normal interaction. That's emotional taxation. And people who care about you don't tax your nervous system. How energy drain serves hidden resentment. Energy drain benefits people who resent you, because while you're tired, they feel balanced. Your dimming restores equilibrium. They don't need to confront you. They don't need to criticize you openly. They just absorb your energy through indifference, subtle disapproval, withheld enthusiasm, one-sided conversations. It's not vampiric in a dramatic sense. It's quieter. They stabilize themselves by destabilizing you. And the more empathetic and self-aware you are, the more vulnerable you become to this dynamic. Because you try to fix what isn't yours. Example, imagine you meet someone you know well. The conversation is normal on the surface. You ask about their life. You listen. You respond thoughtfully. But when you share something exciting or meaningful, their response is flat. Oh, that's cool. Nice. No follow-up, no curiosity, no warmth. You keep talking, trying to reignite the connection. By the end, you feel oddly drained. Later that day, you notice something strange. You're replaying the interaction, wondering if you said too much, if you sounded arrogant, if you should have kept things lighter. That's energy drain. Nothing was said outright, but something was taken. The long-term cost, chronic energy drain, rewires behavior. You start avoiding certain people, not out of dislike, but exhaustion. You limit contact. You shorten conversations. You keep things surface level. And eventually you start doing this with everyone. Because your system learns connection equals fatigue. That's how one person's resentment can shrink your world. The truth most people avoid energy drain is not your imagination. It's not oversensitivity. It's not weakness. It's your nervous system detecting misalignment. People who support you leave you clearer. People who resent you leave you heavier. Once you honor that signal, everything changes. You stop overgiving. You stop explaining. You stop trying to earn warmth from people who withhold it, because peace is not supposed to cost you energy. 8. Discomfort with your growth. When your evolution makes them uneasy, not everyone who knew you is meant to recognize you. Some people don't hate your success. They hate what your success forces them to confront. Your growth makes them uncomfortable, not because it's loud, arrogant, or reckless, but because it breaks the mental image they had of you, and that image benefited them. They were used to the old you, the version that asked for advice, the version that doubted themselves, the version that stayed accessible, the version that didn't challenge the room. So when you grow, when you get clearer, stronger, more confident, they don't celebrate, they stiffen. Discomfort with your growth rarely shows up as direct opposition. It shows up as subtle resistance, less enthusiasm, more distance, awkward pauses, forced smiles. It's not that they don't understand what you're doing, it's that they don't know where they fit anymore. Because your growth shifts the dynamic. You stop orbiting them. You stop needing reassurance. You stop tolerating things you once excused. And that loss of influence feels threatening. So instead of saying, "I'm struggling with the fact that you've changed," they say things like, "You're different lately. You've changed. You're not like you used to be." As if growth is betrayal. As if evolution is an offense. As if becoming more yourself is somehow a rejection of them. That's not nostalgia. That's insecurity. Why your growth feels like rejection to them. People who are uncomfortable with your growth often tied their identity to a version of you that no longer exists. They liked you when you were less certain. You were more available. You were easier to influence. You didn't outshine them. Your growth disrupts the emotional hierarchy. You no longer look up. You no longer wait. You no longer ask for permission. And instead of adjusting, they mourn their advantage. That's why they may question your decisions, downplay your progress, romanticize the past, make jokes about the old you. Act like your growth is temporary. They're not critiquing your choices. They're grieving the loss of control. How discomfort with your growth shows itself. It's rarely aggressive. It's passive and persistent. They stop inviting you into certain spaces, speak to you with subtle defensiveness, avoid topics where you've outgrown them, bring up your past mistakes unnecessarily, react awkwardly when others praise you, and if you confront it, they'll say, "I'm happy for you. I just miss how things used to be." But what they really miss is when your growth didn't expose their stagnation. Example: imagine you've been working on yourself quietly, your confidence, your discipline, your direction. You didn't announce it, you didn't perform it. But one day, you speak with clarity, you set a boundary, you choose yourself, and someone close to you responds with discomfort. They say, "Wow, you've really changed." Not impressed, not curious, uneasy. Later, you notice they interrupt you more. They challenge your opinions. They joke about you being different now. They bring up old versions of you in front of others, not to reminisce, but to remind the room who you used to be. That's discomfort with your growth. They're trying to anchor you to a past where they felt taller. The truth most people don't want to admit. Your growth will cost you access. Not everyone who started the journey with you is meant to walk to the next level. And that's not arrogance. That's reality. Growth creates distance, not because you think you're better, but because you no longer operate on the same emotional frequency. People who truly support you adjust. People who resent you resist. What happens when you stop shrinking? When you stop apologizing for growth, something shifts. The people who were uncomfortable fall away. The people who were pretending reveal themselves. And the people who genuinely respect you step closer, because real connection doesn't require you to stay small. And anyone who demands that you do was never invested in your becoming, only your availability. 9. Judgment without curiosity. When they decide your story without reading the pages, judgment without curiosity is one of the coldest forms of disrespect. It's not loud, it's not emotional, it's final. It's when someone looks at you and decides they already know why you do what you do. What kind of person you are, what you're capable of, what your limits should be. And once they've decided, they stop asking questions, because curiosity requires humility. Judgment requires certainty. And people who judge without curiosity aren't interested in truth. They're interested in control. They don't ask why. They assume intent. They don't explore context. They lock in conclusions. They don't wonder. They label. That's why conversations with them feel one-sided. Not because they dominate the room, but because they've already closed the case. You could explain yourself perfectly, and it wouldn't matter. They're not listening to understand. They're listening to confirm what they've already decided. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Judgment without curiosity almost always comes from insecurity. Your complexity threatens them, because curiosity admits, I might be wrong. Judgment declares, I already know. And certainty feels safer than uncertainty, especially for people who fear being challenged. How judgment without curiosity becomes a weapon. When someone judges without curiosity, they position themselves above you. They become the evaluator, the moral authority, the final voice. Your perspective becomes optional. Your feelings become irrelevant. Your intentions become suspicious by default. They'll say things like, I know people like you. You always do this. That's just how you are. I figured as much. Notice how absolute those statements are. There's no space for growth, no room for explanation, no allowance for nuance. Judgment without curiosity freezes you in place. It turns a moment into an identity, a mistake into a personality trait, a choice into a character flaw. And once that happens, everything you do gets filtered through that label. You're no longer seen, you're interpreted. Why it hurts more than open criticism. Open criticism still acknowledges you as a participant. Judgment without curiosity erases you. You're not being corrected. You're being dismissed. That's why it feels so frustrating. You want to explain, you want to clarify, you want to be understood, but the door is already closed. They don't want your truth. They want consistency with their narrative. And that narrative usually serves them. It allows them to feel superior, to avoid self-reflection, to justify distance, resentment, or disrespect. Example, imagine you make a decision that's different from what someone expects. You don't explain immediately. not because you're careless, but because it's personal. Later you hear them say, "Yeah, that's just like you, always taking shortcuts." They never asked why. They never asked what went into the decision. They never asked what you learned. They judged the outcome and ignored the process. When you finally explain, they nod politely but don't engage. The label has already been applied. That's judgment without curiosity. They weren't confused. They weren't concerned. They were certain. The pattern to watch judgment without curiosity often comes from people who feel threatened by your independence, prefer simple narratives over complex truth, fear being wrong, benefit from misunderstanding you, use labels to maintain power. They don't want to know you because knowing you would humanize you. And it's harder to dismiss someone once you truly understand them. The hidden cost being judged without curiosity teaches you to self-censor. You stop sharing details. You stop explaining choices. You keep things surface level. Not because you're closed, but because openness keeps getting punished. And over time, that silence becomes distance. The truth that sets you free. You are not required to prove yourself to people who refuse to understand you. Curiosity is a choice. So is judgment. And when someone chooses judgment repeatedly, they're telling you who they are. People who care ask questions. People who resent conclude. Once you recognize the difference, you stop chasing validation, because clarity doesn't come from being judged fairly. It comes from being understood. And anyone unwilling to be curious was never interested in the truth about you in the first place. 10. Motivation. You never asked for. When inspiration is really an insult. Not all motivation is meant to lift you. Some of it is meant to position you beneath the person giving it. Motivation you never asked for doesn't sound cruel. It sounds helpful, supportive, even wise. But it lands wrong because it assumes something about you, that you're lost, lazy, confused, or behind. Real encouragement meets you where you are. Unsolicited motivation often tries to pull you back to where someone else feels superior. They speak as if you're stuck, as if you lack discipline, as if clarity hasn't already found you. Just stay focused. Don't give up. You just have to work harder. Everything happens for a reason. Generic phrases, delivered at specific moments. Moments when you're already moving forward. That's the tell. Motivation you never asked for usually shows up after you've shown progress, not before, because your momentum unsettles them. So they step in as the mentor, the coach, the voice of reason, even when you didn't ask, even when you didn't need it. Because advice given without context isn't about you, it's about authority. How unasked motivation becomes control. When someone gives you motivation you didn't request, they subtly reposition the dynamic. They become the guide. You become the one who needs guidance. They get to speak from above. You're expected to receive from below. And if you question it, you're ungrateful, defensive, proud. That's how this tactic stays socially protected. Because encouragement is hard to criticize. But listen closely to the tone. Is it curious or condescending? Is it specific or generic? Is it responsive or rehearsed? Real support asks first. Fake motivation assumes. And assumption is disrespect, dressed as help. Why it feels off, even when it sounds. Positive motivation you never asked for ignores your reality. It skips what you've already done, what you already know, what you've already decided. Instead, it talks at you, and that creates friction, because being motivated isn't the same as being understood. You don't feel seen. You feel corrected. That's why you walk away feeling smaller, even though nothing negative was said. Encouragement that drains you is not encouragement. Example: imagine you share an update, not a complaint, not a crisis, just information. I've been working consistently, and things are finally clicking. They respond with, yeah, just stay motivated. A lot of people quit when it gets hard. You didn't say you were quitting. You didn't say you were struggling. You didn't ask for advice. But suddenly you're framed as someone at risk of failure. Another example: you're calm, grounded, and intentional. They say, keep pushing. Don't let setbacks get to you. What setbacks? The comment isn't about reality. It's about narrative control. They need you to be the one who needs motivation, because that keeps them in the role of the one who has it. The pattern to watch motivation you never asked for often comes from people who feel threatened by your independence, want to appear wiser or more evolved, struggle to celebrate others without advising them, need to feel useful to feel superior. They don't ask what you need, because asking would remove their advantage. The hidden cost: if you accept unasked motivation repeatedly, you start doubting your own clarity. You wonder if you're missing something, if you're being naive, if you should be more uncertain. And that doubt slows you down. That's the point. The truth that reframes everything. True motivation empowers choice. Fake motivation enforces hierarchy. You don't owe gratitude for advice you didn't request. You don't owe receptivity to someone projecting their fears onto your journey. People who respect you trust your momentum. People who resent you try to manage it. Once you see the difference, you stop explaining your confidence, because motivation that actually helps never makes you feel less capable than you already are. The truth people don't warn you about: here's the part no one prepares you for. The people who hate you rarely announce themselves. They don't show up with hostility. They show up with patterns. Patterns of half-effort. Patterns of quiet judgment. Patterns of concern that limits you. Patterns that drain you while pretending to support you. And the most uncomfortable truth: many of them don't even think they hate you. They think they're being honest, helpful, real. But intention doesn't erase impact. Because whether they mean to or not, their behavior consistently does one thing: it shrinks you. And once you recognize that, you stop asking, why do they treat me like this? And start asking, why am I still making space for it? This isn't about cutting everyone off. It's about cutting illusions loose. The illusion that proximity equals loyalty. The illusion that history guarantees respect. The illusion that silence means peace. Sometimes silence just means avoidance. Sometimes advice means control. Sometimes concern means fear. And sometimes the person clapping the loudest is the one hoping you don't make it past the next level. So here's the controversial part. You don't need closure. You don't need explanations. You don't need to confront everyone. You just need awareness. Because once you see the patterns, you stop over-explaining your choices. You stop shrinking your wins. You stop apologizing for growth. You move differently. And that's what really exposes hidden hatred. Not arguments, not accusations, but distance paired with clarity. Let them misunderstand you. Let them doubt you. Let them quietly compete, judge, and minimize. Your job was never to convince them. Your job was to outgrow the rooms that needed you small to feel comfortable. And when you do, you won't hear their hate anymore, because you'll be too far ahead to notice it.